Today we're going to be talking about how to put boxes back together on sewing machines. If you've got an old sewing machine and the box is coming apart, I'll show you how to refabricate new pieces. So this one's missing a top, and we had to build a new top. Now this is pallet lumber. If you got access to old pallets, this is the thinnest slats that they put on pallets, the very thin ones. There's about 2 or 3 different size thicknesses, but this is the thinnest style of pallet slat. It's real thin. All you do is cut it. Now it won't, the largest one that's got the largest width won't fit all the way across, so you'll have to make another small piece to go with it. Now this pallet lumber is not going to be perfect. There's going to be cracks and splits and nail holes and stuff, so you're going to have to work with that. But this is the closest size of lumber you're going to find. It's going to match these old style boxes. And all these old style boxes is like an old wooden cheese box. They're just got the little tongue and grooved corners. Now these sewing machine boxes was manufactured by many different companies. The sewing machine companies teamed up with furniture companies and companies that manufactured cheese boxes and any kind of old boxes, cigar companies that made boxes. They took their scrap leftover wood and made these cases for the sewing machine companies. And this lumber's not perfect. It's in these. A lot of this lumber's cracked and got blemishes in it. That's why it was used for sewing machines. Furniture companies and other kinds of companies that made wood boxes and wood stuff would take their leftover scrap wood, and they would thin it down and make these boxes and produce them for sewing machine companies. So there was a wide variety of companies that made them. Most sewing machine companies didn't manufacture their own cases. They bought these from other sources and had them outsourced by other companies. And other companies that made wood crates and wood furniture, they would take their leftover wood supplies and make these boxes from scrap lumber and sell them to the sewing machine companies. So there could be various styles of these and many different people that produced them, so there's many different ways they produced them, but this is the most common one. So all you do is you take a piece of pallet lumber. You're going to make sure this edge all the way around your box is going to be level. If it's not level, that's not uncommon. These boxes was put together really quickly and just glued together, so sometimes you have to take a hand file and you have to file these down until they're level. Once they're level, then you can take the pallet lumber, measure it, cut it, and all you're going to do is round the edges. You're going to round this edge where it's normally squared, and then you're going to have to cut another piece to go on to this side of it. Once you cut this piece to go on the other side, then you'll have to match it up and you'll have to glue it together. Sometimes people will put pegs in between these two pieces and hold them. Some people will notch these two pieces to where they'll overlay in a notch. Some people will tongue and groove them. There's many different ways to attach these two pieces. That's just according to how much weight and how you want to put these two pieces together. But this top normally just glues down to this once you get it level and set and flush. So there's not a whole lot of big deal in putting these on. They're just glued together. So usually your typical wood glue will work. Putting this back together, this will probably be your biggest difficulty, is getting this piece to line up with this piece, which ain't too hard. Just got to make sure everything's level, square, and the same size. But once this is however you want to put it in, I usually drill holes in here and put little tiny wood pegs and peg the two pieces together with wood glue, and it usually will hold the weight. But now you can cut a notch on the bottom and put a notch on the top and overlap the two pieces together and glue them. Or you can tongue and groove it like wood flooring and put it together. There's many different ways to seam the two pieces. Pallet lumber is bad to crack. You will get cracks in it, so you will have to fill these, or you'll have to press them and glue them back. But once you get it put on, it will be just like a regular wood top. Most of these boxes was made out of pine wood. Sometimes you'll find them, they'll be beech wood or birch wood. I've seen some in beech and birch. Most of them's pine or poplar wood, but it depends on the manufacturer and where they were coming from. There was many different crate manufacturers and people who manufactured boxes for cheese companies and stuff in the old days. These date back to the 50s, 40s. Sometimes you can go back to the 30s and 20s on some of these. They're so old. But now this one's probably 50s to the early 60s. And when it comes to nail holes, you'll have to drill these nail holes out and plug them. But if you didn't want to drill these out and plug them, it would make it look cleaner. But if you didn't want to do that and you're just going to wrap the box, you can take wood filler and just fill these holes in, and that'll work fine because you're going to cover it over and it's not going to matter. And on the inside, all it is paper wrapped, paper lined. It's basically just a wallpaper. So once you glue these in, all you're going to be doing is just basically wallpapering the top half. Unless if you're doing it all over from scratch. If you're doing it all over from scratch, you're going to rewrap the whole box. You'll have to peel it all off. And it's basically just a very thin style wallpaper. This works really good. So if you're looking to make a box top, it's common for these tops to pull off because these tops are just glued on, and with age the glue breaks down. There is small bugs and stuff that gets underneath and eats away some of the glue in some of these if they've been stored in a really old house. So that's not uncommon. Some people likes to take these completely apart and glue these joints, re-glue these joints, which is not a bad idea if you have the extra time and you're already going to redo this. This one I'm probably just going to cover the top and leave the sides. And I'll probably just paper the inside of this one on the top half and leave the paper on the sides. But there's many different ways that you can go about doing this. It just depends on how far you want to go with it. And that's how you make a top for one of these if you have one that's missing.